Hey everybody, this is Kyle, aka Vulcan Wolverine. It's February 11th, 2020. It's about 11:05 p.m. here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I wanted to do a short informational video tonight. Something popped up that was very weird, right? We have somebody talking about our issue who's an advisor to the Pentagon on neuroscience and neurotechnology, neuroweapons, Dr. James Giordano. I happened to be watching, Stefan Molyneux's presentation. He's doing a lot of information on the coronavirus. And it's kind of why I wanted to do a short informational video about it, because a lot of the videos about the coronavirus are getting censored, taken down by YouTube. So I didn't really want to do a live stream tonight. We'll do a hangout later this week. I just didn't want to do a whole live stream and somehow it gets censored or taken down. And even in the title, I'm going to be really careful. I'm going to put, James Giordano speaks on the beer virus. I'm just going to say the beer virus, and then, you guys will know what I'm talking about when you see the video. And I thought it was very interesting, right? Because we've been talking a lot about Dr. James Giordano lately. He's been doing a lot of interviews on neuroweapons, on the things affecting targeted individuals. So I want to play this off of Stefan Molyneux's video about the coronavirus, where James Giordano is talking about it. And then I want to show you guys something from one of his presentations that makes this connection very important. And it also adds more proof to not the theory, but there's a lot of proof that this virus was man-made, right? That it's a microbiological agent that's used to incur morbidity. That doesn't always mean death. There have been a lot of deaths from the coronavirus. Things are going crazy in our world, right? It's just a very stressful time for everybody, especially for us. We're getting the targeted individuals. We're having the targeting, and then everything crazy going on in the world, and people are still ignoring our situation. I thought this was a very important connection to put out in a video. So let me play this. We'll talk about it some more. I'm going to play some stuff from one of his presentations to show you that he was already talking about this stuff. He was already talking about these incidents, and we're going to talk about something that I think is an important bottom line in understanding these incidents, like our targeting, the experimentation, the torture, and then when something like this happens, when there's a pandemic. I think it may be an epidemic now, but at least a pandemic right now, and what that could mean, what the reasons for that could be. Very important connection. So let's go ahead and play this. I just want to play the connection, and I'll pull up this article that he's talking about. I was very surprised to hear that Dr. James Giordano is speaking out a lot about the coronavirus, and that's very interesting, and I'll show you why in this presentation that he does.
A chemical warfare expert at Israel's Bar-Ilan University. I think the Chinese activities are highly suspicious in terms of exploring at least those viruses as biological weapon agents. James Giordano, a neurology professor at Georgetown University and senior fellow in biowarfare at the U.S. Special Operations Command, said it's worrisome on a few fronts. China's growing investment in bioscience, looser ethics around gene editing and other cutting-edge technology, and integration between government and academia raise the specter of such pathogens being weaponized, he said. That could mean an offensive agent or a modified germ let loose by proxies for which only China has the treatment or vaccine, said Giordano, co-head of Georgetown's Brain Science and Global Law and Policy Program.
So it says for which China only has the cure or the vaccine. Could come from another country. I'm seeing a lot of articles about, is Israel working on a cure or a vaccine for the coronavirus? We've also got to understand there may be many more angles, even some angles of just seeing what happens when a man-made virus like this is released in China and then spreads to other continents. I've heard people say, like, well, it can't be a biological warfare agent because not enough people are dying. It would be way more terminal in a way more shorter period of time. But we as targeted individuals know that's not true. We've heard James Giordano, and I'm going to play some of his presentation, but we know that it could have socio-political, economic reasons to do this, and not necessarily trying to wipe out as many people in a short amount of time as it can, right? We've got to realize there are a lot of angles to all these evil things that are happening in our world that are purposely done, artificially created. My attackers are wiping my memory right now. Having a lot of trouble with remote neural manipulation lately. Oh, what was I gonna say? Let's keep playing this. I'll remember. I really can't remember what it was. Shoot, it's just like gone. But we've got to remember there could be a lot of angles, even an angle of kind of just seeing, even just seeing what would happen, releasing something like this, seeing how people would react. Also, to put a lot of pressure on the on medical institutions, right? They have to build new hospitals. It's putting a lot of pressure and a lot of burden on society. What kind of control could China get out of that chaos, right? Or another country, what kind of control could they get out of that chaos? And I'm not saying like China definitely did this. I don't really know who did it. But James Giordano has been speaking out about these kind of artificial weapons attacks, artificial microbiological attacks, and other things that create many angles of the frog in boiling water, but also angles of let's just see what happens, right? Everything that I'm researching says that it is okay. That's what I wanted to say. That it's actually a man-made virus because it has HIV markers in it. It only affects Asian people. There's lots of things that show that it's not just a naturally occurring virus in nature. But let's finish up the rest of this, and then I want to go to that presentation. And I connected it when I heard that James Giordano was speaking on it. I remembered this other presentation that he did and an example that he gave of specifically this in another context, right? But altogether, pretty much he was already speaking about something like this happening. And when we see these incidents, I mean, even though the CDC and the mainstream news is saying like everybody's just passing around conspiracy theories and it could create panic, that's another angle of it, right? They want to create panic, they want to create fear so that they can get control out of that. Everything's going crazy in the world. We target individuals have it even more extreme because we're dealing with our targeting, remote neural manipulation of our brains, and ultimately physical pain, right? Which this virus creates physical pain and death. It's created, if the numbers can be trusted that they're giving out, right? It's not even as much as the flu. Usually, the percentage of the population that the flu kills during a year, but can we trust those numbers, right? And we've got to remember that physical pain, and we as targeted individuals understand this. Physical pain can be an agent, can be an artificial agent induced to control the mind, right? To control the mind of an individual. Like us, like target individuals, our attackers create trauma in our bodies to try and do something to the brain so that they can, create more remote neural manipulation. They can create more control of the brain, but also populations. If you can induce morbidity, pain to the body, you can control people a lot better. So we do have to look at this situation from the evidence that I've seen. It's completely man-made. Who released it? I don't know, but this connection is really important for targeted individuals to look at, but not only that, it's very important for everyone to look at. So let's finish this up, and then we'll go to that presentation by James Giordano.
Asked if the possibility of the Canadian germs being diverted into a Chinese weapons program is connected to other upheavals at the microbiology lab, Public Health Agency of Canada spokeswoman Anna Madison said this week the agency, quote, continues to look into the administrative matter. So that's not a denial. That's not a what are you crazy? Of course not. That would be mad. How horrifying, how horrible. No way. No how. Okay,
so let's go to this presentation,
that
guys.
Seems...
I just kind of wanted to make this quick and just show this connection because it was very... pretty intense for me. We've got this guy. We've got Dr. James Giordano, talking about neuroweapons, talking about how these could affect populations, but also talking about neuromicrobiological agents. Now, I don't know if the coronavirus is a neuromicrobiological agent, right? But something wouldn't need to be. The coronavirus would not need to be a neuromicrobiological agent to exert pressure on a population, to see what are the socioeconomic controls they could incur, economic controls, then other angles, right? That's my bottom line in this, is that people like see these incidents and they're like, well, they're, probably China's maybe doing this to, just an example, China's maybe doing this to their own people just to affect the economy, just to make the economy fall and then try and take control of it. We've got to realize there are a lot of different angles involved with all of these different things that are artificially induced in society. It's very, very important. That's what I'm seeing in everything that I've experienced as a targeted individual. All these other incidents, the frog boiling in water, but also big incidents like the fires in Australia, the fires in California, and things like that. Land grabs, of course, creating fear in society, creating things like fear on the internet, so that then that can be used, right? Because they want to use our fear, they want to use that to control more things in our lives, control what we do, and that we give them more control, right? So the people in China are really scared. If we can, trust the numbers, there aren't a huge percentage of deaths, but it's a lot, and then people are very fearful. Lots of weird things going on. People getting welded shut into their homes, into their apartments, and things like that. The people get scared, and then they give more power to the Chinese government. Or say Israel comes up with a vaccine, or America comes up with a vaccine, or China comes up with a vaccine, and they're seen as the saviors, and then the people give them more control or see them in a certain socio-political way, right? So let's play this. He gives an example, and that's really the bottom line of this video, is we've got to realize these things that are happening in our society to us as targeted individuals, and then things like the coronavirus and other things happening for many number of angles, and some of those angles, the top of the pyramid may not even know what it wants to create. It may just be kind of doing a test. This is what's going to happen if this happens. This is going to happen if this happens. People are going to respond. Then they collect data on that for the next time they want to do it, or for some other incident that they want to create. So that's really an important point of this video, the bottom line. When we're thinking about these things that are happening in our world, we've got to see that the top of the pyramid, the people carrying these things out, it's for many different angles. It's not necessarily going to be for just like, oh, they're doing this for that reason, right? So let's play this. He gives a really good example here, and I remembered it. I remembered it when I heard that he was talking about this in the mainstream media. I remembered this presentation, and I remembered this example, so I definitely just wanted to do a short video kind of showing the connection here.
Change or eliminate that individual with very little attribution and trace.
It's really quiet. Let's see if I can get the volume up here. I don't know if y'all are going to be able to hear this. Let's see if I can turn up my volume here. Let's see. I'll play it back, and hopefully this will be loud enough.
Prior to any attribution. Think Novichok. Or I could assemble very small quantities of this that would then allow a specific intervention, characteristically in a place that would not allow such an intervention. Think of the use of a derivative of Vx in an airport. But I could do more than that. I could also incur much broader type of ripple effects. And one of the ways I could also do that is with what's called high morbidity neuromicrobiologic agents. It's a real fancy way of saying neurobugs. But high morbidity neurobugs. I may not want to kill a lot of people. In fact, arguably, I may assume what is sometimes referred to as the Sailor Malin mantra. For those of you who may be fans.
Let's see if I can plug the headphones in and play it, and let's see how that would sound. I don't know. I don't think I'll be able to hear it. But you see where it says high morbidity microbiological agents. I'm not sure if the coronavirus would affect the neurology of the brain, so I'm not sure it's a neuromicrobiological agent, but panic in the public and things like that. Microbials with high neuropsychiatric symptom clusters for public panic, public health disintegrative effects, right? gene-edited microbiologicals with novel morbidity, mortality profiles. That would fit exactly with the coronavirus, right? So it spreads and it has specific gene-edited microbiologicals. It's just affecting Asian people right now. Hasn't mutated to affect anybody else but Asian people. So it would fit in with this scenario of something artificially created to create certain variables in society to switch economic, socio-political, to create fear in the public, to create conspiracy theories online, to create more fear, to get certain reactions, problem, reaction, solution, right? I wish y'all could hear this, because he gives a certain example. Let's see. Oh, I thought I could hear it when I was listening to it the other day. I could hear it. Let's see.
That Sailor Malin, Wing Commander Sailor Malin, was a South African who flew with the Royal Air Force during the Second World War. And he became well known during the Battle of Britain for shooting up German airplanes but letting them limp whole, particularly bomber aircraft. And they would ask Sailor Malin, "Oh, Wing Commander, why didn't you shoot that plane down?"
Why didn't you shoot that plane down? And his adage was simple, to have the plane return home with the crew spitting up the bus. So he's talking about this African general who would wound planes, right? And they'd say, "Why didn't you destroy that plane?" Because he wanted them going back to decrease the morale of the enemy soldiers. That's not the example. This next thing is, and what I'll do is I'll read the closed captions. I didn't know it was going to be this quiet, guys, but this is really important information. And I think that I'm going to put this video in the description, right? Because I just wanted y'all to see the connection, right? As targeted individuals, Dr. James Giordano is speaking out on the coronavirus. He's talked about gene-edited microbiologicals with novel morbidity, mortality profiles. Now, mortality would be death, right? But morbidity can mean a lot of things. It can mean physical pain. It can mean fear. It can mean pressure from the public. It can mean people like scared that they're not going to have enough water or food. It can mean people getting locked in their apartments and their homes and things like that. To induce fear and to take this fear and do stuff with the economy and to do specific things with socio-political control within the world, right? So he talked about a lot of these things. Now we're seeing them in the world, right? We're not only seeing them with our situation, with all this targeting experiment going on. A lot of us has to get on Social Security. A lot of people are fearful that it may happen to them. A lot of people just think we're crazy, right? It's creating these ripple effects. And I talk about ripple effects a lot. And I know that the top of the pyramid is trying to create these negative ripple effects that then it can control through these different angles. You know, I did it before, but I said it before I even knew that Dr. James Giordano was talking about it. But he says that a lot in his presentations to create these ripple effects where they can have a problem, reaction, solution. Now, what kind of reaction? Some of these reactions, they're sure that they're going to get, right? They know they're going to get fear. They know they're going to get people in other continents wigging out and putting stuff out. They know that there's going to be tons of bad stuff happening in China. Some of these angles of these ripple effects, they're testing to see what they can get, right? So when they do it the next time, they're collecting data on this stuff. But let me see if he can go through his other example, and I can just read it to you guys.
Divert their missional capability while in flight, then shoot them down. Because the psychological effect will be rippling and devastating.
Rippling and devastating. He says ripple effect a ton, and I've been saying that in a lot of my videos before I even knew. But I see that in society. I see that the top of the pyramid really wants to use these ripple effects of evil.
Relatively benign and non-pathogenic, and make that bug virulent, pathogenic, dangerous. And then what could I do?
And then what could I do? I could introduce that bug in key sites: Des Moines, Seattle, Tampa, Newark, Houston. I get a few people sick. I do it on an airplane, do it in an airport, do it at a sporting event do it on
then what I
Black
would do is I would
Friday,
take credit
and
for
then
that,
what
but I
I'd
want to
do
make
is I would
sure that at
take
least part of
credit
the
for that,
symptomatic
but I would
constellation
want to make sure at least
was not
part
only
of the
neurological,
symptomatic constellation was not only neurologically,
agitation,
was profoundly
debilitation,
psychological,
sweating,
agitation,
stomach
debilitation, sweating, stomach problems, sleeplessness, cardiac problems, things that are very, we call it top-down neurological in their effect to the brain and the body, right? So as targeted individuals, we understand that pain can create a really bad psychological effect on us, right? It can create fear or a fight or flight. It can create fear in the community if you're in pain and they don't understand it, right? Or they don't understand what's going on. So you take this and there's nobody coming out, right? I'm not saying that, this is a different context of what he's talking about. There's not a terrorist group coming out and saying, hey, we released this. Now, there's a lot of research being done that it was man-made and that somebody released it, but nobody's claiming it. So that may not be the reason, right, to come out and say, hey, I created this and I'm going to give you a vaccine or whatever. It could be that there are other angles that they're trying to get to happen to grab socio-political control, to see what's going to happen, to grab socio-economic control, or just economic control in the region, right? Or for the Chinese people to be so frightened that they give up more power to the Chinese government. Also, we've got, the 5G was one of the places, Wuhan was one of the places that 5G was rolled out. I don't think that 5G was the cause of this or anything like that, but a lot of people are saying that they're claiming in the area, or the Chinese government is claiming that they're going to have to put more 5G in to actually combat this virus. So that could be one of the angles, right? Could be one of the angles to give people vaccines with nanotechnology, and they would be more affected by the stuff that targeted individuals are affected by on a larger scale, right? I'm not sure. That's what I'm saying, that the bottom line of this video is we've got to look into. These things are done for many different angles. Some of them, even the people carrying these things out. Like, I don't want to say who did it, right? But the people who were involved in releasing this virus, they're even having some angles that they just want to collect data on what happens, so then they can do things in the future and have more data on what would happen and what kind of control they could get, right? And I'm not trying to spread fear or anything. I just saw this connection with Dr. James Giordano speaking out, and I remembered this, this presentation, and I said, whoa, a lot of things that are happening in our world have a lot to do with these with these neuroweapons targeting, right? So we're targeted by directed energy weapons, neuroweapons. Also, we're targeted by toxins, nanotechnologies, and things like that. Some of us are targeted by microbiologicals, but we're seeing in this incident that it's this specific targeting of a specific genetic group to this microbiological agent. So let's see. Let me read some more of it. I wish that the sound. I thought that the sound was high enough on this, but I just mainly want to get that point across, right? I want to get this connection across, and I'll put this video in the description. So let me keep reading.
In body to brain, in the
body to brain in the bottom-up cascade.
Then what I would do is
I would get on the internet, and I would put out over the internet, I did it, oh yes,
on that dangerous
that
you should all be afraid
group
of.
that you should all be afraid of. I'm that dangerous group that you all should be afraid of. In fact, this is far more ubiquitous than I let on. These are only the first cases I've let these buggies go all over the country, right?
Anxiety, worry, sleeplessness, stomach problems.
And then you get people, you get hypochondriacs, right? That think that they're getting this. You have that right now in the world. You have a lot of people in other continents afraid that they're going to get coronavirus, right? And then that fear can be used. So it's this small little virus that got out, and it's creating these huge ripples that can create angles of control, socio-politic and economic, and then other angles that that I'm not even talking about, that I'm not aware of.
Back on the internet. They say, oh, don't you listen to
get
that.
back on the internet and I
That's
say, oh,
fake.
don't you listen to that?
False.
That's fake.
Your
That's
government
false.
knows what's going
Your
on.
government knows what's
They
going
can't do
on.
anything
They
about
can't.
it.
So
They
it's a
can't
different
treat you.
context,
They're
right?
gonna
There's
end up
not a group
quarantining
coming out
you.
and claiming to have done this.
How many people would
But
I
you
need to
guys
affect?
see.
We
You
modeled
see
it.
that he was
Somewhere
talking about
between 12
this
and
and how
240.
it can be used for different
What
kinds
would
of
be the
things. And
effect?
the way that this
Hang
happened
on,
is
folks.
very, very
In 41
suspicious,
to
right?
45 days, we would crash the United States global tax system. Crash it.
So he says in 41 to 45 days, we'd crash the United States public health system, right? What's happening in China? What's happening in Wuhan? The public health system is crashing. Now, how can that be used? I don't know. How can that be used for economic control? I don't know. How can that be used for political control? Are they just collecting data on what would happen? I don't know. I'm just saying there could be a lot of those angles involved. And our man, well, I guess not our man. I guess a lot of us, think that he is, lying about these neuroweapons programs going on. But I do think a lot of the information and presentations that he's done, there's so much useful information in there, right? He doesn't go all the way, and he says, well, there's no organized programs of torture and experimentation on the books, but he does give out a lot of information about this stuff, and he also gives out a lot of information not just on neuroweapons and directed energy weapons, but as you see, gene-edited microbiologicals with novel morbidity mortality profiles, which is why he's speaking about it, right? So if this was just this natural thing that was occurring, somebody ate a bat or rat poop or something like that, they probably wouldn't be talking to Dr. James G. Dorman. Probably wouldn't be talking to this neuroweapons and then microbiological agent expert, right? I don't know. The coronavirus could be neuromicrobiological. It could affect the brain, and I don't know. I don't know a lot of information on exactly what it does. I know kind of the physical effects are kind of like the flu and stuff like that, but worse. I don't know about the neurological effects. Would they release that if it was affecting the brain?
So doing, I
In
render
so
the
doing,
United
I
States
render the United States infrastructure vulnerable either there or elsewhere. See the ripple effects, see the disruptive effect. I can disrupt an individual from the level of their cell to their system and disrupt the individuals on a variety of levels, from individuals all the way up to the social fabric. And that social fabric may go even further. It may be geopolitical. And you think just for a moment, if you could, why would it be of any value at all to affect, disrupt, and disable individuals who are a U.S. Embassy personnel in Havana, Cuba. So he's talking about the incident in Cuba, right, where the embassy workers and many other people were affected by directed energy weapons. Does this incident? I know it's not the same thing, right? It's a microbiological agent. It's a virus, so it's different than sonic weapon attacks, than neuro weapons attacks. It's different than that, but destabilizes the infrastructure of a country. Is it doing that to China? Yeah, it's doing that to China. Is who I don't know who did it, but we do see that it's causing ripple effects, geopolitical, economic, and otherwise, right? They could be very complicated. It could be these angles of control that someone, some country or agency, maybe the country of China itself. I'm not pointing any fingers, but it could be any of these people trying to create those ripple effects to do the problem reaction solution. I really think that it is that. We have to talk about these things because the mainstream media is going to have a script that they read from, and they're not going to be able to talk about certain things. And many videos on the coronavirus are being censored, just completely taken down and stuff like that. But I did want to make this connection. I'll put this link to the video. It's at about 30 minutes. If you go to 30 minutes in this video, Dr. James Giordano, the brain is the battlefield of the future. Just go to 30 minutes on it, and you can hear that. You can hear that scenario. It's a different context, right? No terrorist organization is coming out and saying we did this. Is that maybe going to happen? I don't know. I don't know. But I just wanted to show this connection of somebody who's very prominent an advisor to the Pentagon on neurotechnologies, neuroscience, neuroweapons, and they're getting him to speak out on it in a lot of mainstream news articles about the coronavirus as a bioweapon that could create angles of control. It could create ripple effects, problem, reaction, solution, right? And I see that in this. Because of the man-made origins, it doesn't look like it just happened by some accident. And I think a lot of people see that. So I just wanted to show you guys this connection. Let's see if I had anything else. This is, well, let me go to the article right here. This is the article that Stefan was reading from. I'm going to put that video, I'm going to put the Stefan Monu video, and then the James Giordano video, and then I'll put this article in the description of the video. I hope that you guys can take a look at it, but I just wanted to make that connection real quick. I found it very interesting being a target individual, being attacked heavily by neuroweapons and directed energy weapons. You know, James Giordano speaks out a lot about this, but it is like, well, there's nothing on the books, right? There's nothing on the books. So a lot of target individuals are very angry at him. I get that. I just do think that he's someone to watch, right? He's someone to look at what they're saying. We've got to do that. We've got to grab information from any source and take the good information and then correct the bad, or correct where they're not talking about something, right? So this is biowarfare experts question why Canada was sending lethal viruses to China. So it's a huge, a lot of research that a lot of people are doing that says this couldn't have been somebody just eating a rancid bat or some kind of natural catching of the virus, right? There's too many artificial markers. There's patents on it and everything like that. And it's also just affecting a certain gene type, right? Just Asians. I think it's just Chinese people, right? No, I think it's Asian people. So I think it's affecting people in Japan and Hong Kong. I may be incorrect on that. Okay, so I think the Chinese activities are highly suspicious. One expert said after it was revealed a Winnipeg lab sent samples of Ebola and Henipavirus to China. So, and this is what Stefan read. China strongly denies it makes germ weapons, and Canadian officials say the shipment was part of its efforts to support public health research worldwide. Sharing of such samples internationally is relatively standard practice. But some experts are raising questions, and this is what, let me just read it over. Some experts are raising questions about the March transfer, which appears to be at the center of a shadowy RCMP investigation and dismissal of a top scientist at the Winnipeg-based NML. I would say this Canadian contribution might likely be counterproductive, said Danny Schoen, a biological and chemical warfare expert at Israel's Bar-Ilan University. I think the Chinese activities are highly suspicious in terms of exploring at least those viruses as bio-weapon agents. James Giordano, a neurology professor at Georgetown University and senior fellow in biowarfare at the U.S. Special Operations Command, said it's worrisome on a few fronts. China's growing investment in bioscience, looser ethics, and gene editing and other cutting-edge technology and integration between government and academia raise the specter of such pathogens being weaponized, he said. That could mean an offensive agent or a modified germ let loose by proxies for which only China has the treatment or vaccine, or some other country has the treatment or vaccine, right? You know, I'm sure we're going to see a vaccine coming out soon. That's all I'm going to say on that one. From who? I don't know. But I guarantee you they're going to be collecting data on what happens, and there's going to be hell in all the provinces of China where they're collecting data, and they're creating, whoever did this, it's going to create a lot of morbidity. It's going to create a lot of morbidity and fear in a lot of other continents too, right? And so they collect data and they see how people react. And they also have these angles that they're working on of things that they know are going to happen to the economy, to political control, to control given up from the people who are scared, right? So, for which only China has a treatment or vaccine, said Giordano, co-head of Georgetown's Brain Science, and Global Law and Policy Program. Now, does the coronavirus affect the brain? I don't know. I haven't done enough research to know that. I know that it, causes a lot of like painful symptoms. People have died from it. I think more than they're reporting, because they're really acting out of fear in a lot of Chinese provinces. They're locking people in their apartments and their homes and things like that. Crazy, crazy stuff. But I thought that I had to present this information, this connection to Dr. James Giordano, because we talk about him so much. He talks about our issue, and it is part of experimentation, right? Experimenting on a lot of targeted individuals and a lot of people, widespread signals, right? Widespread frequencies to experiment on communities and stuff like that. And then we have neuromicrobiological agents, or just microbiological agents, viruses, to do blank, 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 and then let's see what happens with blank and blank, right? So that I just want to pass on, because as I've researched targeting and I've researched all these issues, I see this. A lot of people say, oh, this is being done for this one thing, right? And then somebody says, well, it's being done for this thing. And they're both right, because when things are done like this on a mass scale, it usually is blank, 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 and let's see about blank and blank. Because the people at the top of the pyramid in a lot of different agencies are treating the human population as a petri dish. As a petri dish to collect data on what's going to happen, to perfect it, to do something later on that's more perfected, and then see, and just keep going with it, right? And keep creating these problem, reaction, solution scenarios, which never turn into solutions for the middle class. They never turn into solutions for the normal person, but they turn into more control and more money, more economic, more socio-political power, more fear from the population, that then the population is willing to give over their rights, and more control, right? And it keeps going in this cycle. And I see that happening. I see that happening on an individual basis with the targeting, right? With us targeted individuals. And I see it happening with a lot of other things like this coronavirus outbreak, in the world. So I gotta definitely put that out. I don't know what's gonna happen to this video. Let's see. Let's read. This is not warfare per se, he said, but what it's doing is leveraging the capability to act as a global savior. Now that's only one angle. He's talking about one angle there, right? He talks, like in the presentation, he's talking about many, many, many different scenarios, different angles, right? So this is not warfare per se. Well, it's asymmetrical warfare. That's a term that a lot of you guys, you're very familiar with. That's a term we need to get familiar with. Asymmetrical warfare. It's not shooting somebody with a gun. It's electromagnetic weapons, neuroweapons, viruses, certain propaganda, right? All this propaganda and stuff like that. So asymmetrical warfare, a little bit different than coming to your house with a gun. Okay, it's not warfare per se, he said, but what it's doing is leveraging the capability to act as global savior, which then creates various levels of macro and microeconomic and biopower dependencies. Asked if the possibility of the Canadian germs being diverted into a Chinese weapons program is connected to other upheaval at the microbiology lab, Public Health Agency of Canada spokeswoman Anna Madison said this week the agency continues to look into the administrative matter. Not an outright denial. Like that's what Stefan Molyneux was saying. Okay, so that's all I wanted to show. I wanted to keep this quick, guys. I've been doing. I'll tell you this. Let's talk about the good things, right? I know for an objective fact, there's a God. There's forces for good in this universe. We got to get with them. We got to connect with them, right? Because sometimes our physical, our mental state is going to be really bad. We're going to go through many, many trials, right? But I really believe in that thing. I believe in David and the Lion's Den. I believe in Meshach, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I also believe that a coal can be turned into a diamond in extreme heat. I believe those things. Lately, my head's been getting kind of full. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. things are going really, really crazy in the world, and I can't help but look at it, right? Because I'm a target individual. I know a lot of you guys, all of you guys, are going through a lot of pain. So I'm trying to not think at the moment. I'm trying that a lot. I'm definitely we'll do a hangout this week. I'm kind of like, am I gonna take a break? I'm kind of thinking it over, but I'm trying not to think too much because my head's just filled up, right? My head's just filled up from targeting. My attackers use it to roll on my remote neural manipulation. But I do want to say, like, a lot of the defenses are still working very good. The ZVS driver, Dave KCC, the lead cap, the less EMF headwear, grounding for external hits. And also, I wanted to clear something up, and I'll probably say this at the beginning of the live stream. These noise canceling hearing aids, I tried the kind that you put in the ear. These sit on the ear, right? I was using those ones that fit in the ear, and I was experiencing a lot of extreme vagus nerve stimulation, a lot of pain and headaches that were just crippling me. And my attackers were very smooth with it. And when I put those other noise canceling hearing aids, they turn the power up ever so slightly every day so that I wouldn't notice the difference. But when I switched back to these that fit over the ear, it reduced the pain over there of the remote neural manipulation. So I wanted to clear it up because I was talking about these noise canceling hearing aids that Dr. Hoffer, another TI went to Dr. Hoffer, then I went to Dr. Hoffer, and he recommended these things for remote neural manipulation, for the neuroweapons attacks, because your inner ear is stuck in this loop, right? Either through transcranial stimulation, signals to the brain, then to the inner ear, or straight through conducting on the skin, or straight through the inner ear. Your inner ear is this crux point where a lot of these frequencies are getting to a loop between your inner ear and the brain and the nervous system, and then back to the inner ear, right? So if you get these noise canceling technology hearing aids, it's producing this noise canceling thing right to the inner ear, and it can reduce a lot of it. Now, it's not the only angle of the targeting right there. Layers to it. It gets pretty complicated, but it's been a huge boon to me. The noise canceling hearing aids. Anybody with very, very, because somebody, another TI was saying, I don't have V2K, so I don't know if I should get those, but it doesn't only tone down the V2K, which it doesn't do that well. My attackers have kind of adjusted that, but it seems like the vagus nerve stimulation and some of the remote neural manipulation stuff, visual injections, inner voice injections, the emotions in the nervous system manipulation are extremely effective, right? So the pain of the nervous system that feels like fibromyalgia, I have in my protocol, and I had before I even knew I was targeted, they were stimulating my vagus nerve and ripping up my jaw, right? And they're doing it a lot now because I make these videos and I do live streams, and they want to shut me up. They want me to shut up and stop making videos, which I may take breaks and stuff, but we're never going to quit, right? We can't quit. We're being targeted. We can't quit fighting this and fighting evil. But I just wanted to get this information out. We'll talk more. We'll do a hangout, guys. I really hope y'all are doing okay. I hope you're doing awesome. I hope you're kicking this thing's butt and ignoring the gang stalking. I find that that's the greatest relief I get from the targeting, is to focus on other things and not go down the list of what they're doing to me all the time, to ignore it and focus on, I was telling a targeted individual, ABTOS, ABTOS is going to be my new thing. Always be thinking of solutions. Be solution oriented. Don't think of every problem all the time. Think of solutions. Think of defenses. Think of even simple things like, oh, I want to eat some ice cream and that'll make me feel better, or I'm going to get some grounding and that's going to work good on the external hits. Or also, I'll say this on the live stream too, but if you guys are sticking around to the end on this, if you're taking kratom, be careful, because another TI sent me an article on mixing kratom with other prescription medications. It can cause trouble in communicating. Now, I was having problems with that lately And I thought that it was just straight up my remote neural manipulation, but it was not. It was a tertiary effect. I was mixing kratom with lorazepam for a long period of time. At the beginning, it wasn't that big of a problem, but it started to become a problem where I was like, man, I'm just not, I can't think of words. And some of that's remote neural manipulation, right? But some of it was from mixing. Be careful. And I'd say don't do it. Don't mix kratom with other prescription medications, or be extremely careful. I'll pull that article out on the live stream hangout that I'll probably do. Maybe this week sometime, maybe the weekend. I'm not sure. I'm taking it slow. This is what I'm doing, guys. I had to get this out because it's a connection that, this prominent person, Dr. James Giordano, talks about our issue all the time, and I felt like I needed to get the information out of that connection to it. It's a very, very suspicious connection, right? It's a weird connection. If we're a targeted individual, we're looking at the coronavirus, and there's a lot of interweaving of these webs, of these things that are happening in society, intelligence agencies, and higher up, just basically the military-industrial complex and its masters are doing in this world, that they're interweaving. That's all I'm going to say. There's a lot of very, very, very weird connections about the coronavirus to the target, and certain artificial agents that they use to cause ripple effects of negative control in society. I'd say this is a definite. It's a definite. It's not just an accident. I don't think we're seeing a lot of accidents like this on the globe. So I'm going to just say that. I love you guys. I hope y'all are doing really good. Please, if you're getting a lot of nerve pain, if you do get a lot of pain on your left side and you feel like you're getting vagus nerve stimulation, these noise canceling hearing aids, Britsco, they fit on top of the ear. And then they have a little tube that goes down. They're gray. The gray Britsco, a lot of people were asking about them in the comments. They work very well. The ones they're more expensive and they fit directly in the ear, my attackers were getting through them. So they weren't, I actually think this, and I'm not sure, but I think that my attackers actually hit those other hearing aids. They have such small mechanisms in them to create the noise canceling thing. I think my attackers used directed energy and kept them working right on the digital noise enhancement, but knocked out that thing that was creating the noise reduction. I think. I'm not sure. A lot of weird stuff happens with this. They break a lot of our electronics, but I do know that these help with the vagus nerve stimulation and remote neural manipulation pain down the spine and my nervous system, like fibromyalgia. But these, did I just say that? I'm saying it over. They're really messing with my memory and my mind. Stay strong, guys. There's a lot of positivity. I know that the world's going crazy right now. Things are just so crazy. Things are just so crazy. But I do want to just leave it on a positive note. There are higher forces for good. There's also higher forces for evil, right? We can just God and the devil, because I think that's a good way for people to put it in perspective. But it's an objective fact, guys. Sometimes when you're going through these tough situations, if you reach out to those forces for good that want to see humanity evolve, that care about us, they're going to reach back. God's going to reach back, right? In the name of Jesus Christ. 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 All right, guys. So I just wanted to give you all. I'm sorry I got long-winded. I haven't talked to you guys in a while, but we'll do a hangout. Just stay strong. I'm going through things. I'm going through things other than targeting, on top of the targeting, and I'm kind of questioning my direction. I'm not gonna quit fighting though. I kind of didn't want to talk about this. I always do that. That's why I've been because I don't want to blurt things out on a video about just stuff that I'm thinking about myself and I haven't made decisions on yet. But I always do. I'm trying to get around my own nature, right? My nature is just to be completely blah blah blah. And also, you guys know me. Gotta change sometimes though. We gotta adapt to things. Gotta adapt to things. I'm not saying adapt to anything that's bad, right? Sometimes we've got to change things about ourselves that maybe make things hard. Okay, Matt, we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. You guys know what I'm talking about. I love you guys. Really hope y'all are doing good. We'll do a hangout soon. We'll talk about some things. Lion and the Lamb, I got your email. The Lion and the Lamb sent me an amazing one. It's the ground weapons, like an ultrasonic frequency, something that can read ultrasonic frequencies and things that can emit sonic effects and microwave effects. So I'm going to do that on the hangout. Thank you for sending me that. I've heard a lot of people talk about them, but I've never like really looked them up or anything, because I know that like most of the things that I'm experiencing, I think that neighbors do participate in the ground weapons, right? Like for supplement, but I think most of us, if we're being hit for 24 hours a day, it's the infrastructure. It's like an infrastructure, and then it's directed energy, integrated neuro weapon systems, integrated directed energy weapon systems that use that infrastructure to remotely hit us, and then the ground weapons are used for supplement. But it's great proof that these weapons exist, right? It's something we can get our hands on, and it's concrete. So I really appreciate that. And I'm going to go over that on the next hangout. So I love you guys. I didn't mean to make it this long. You guys know me. Trying to kind of organize myself, get myself put back together. We all need to do that. All right, guys. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next one.